Can you guys see me? Are we live? Oh, I think we are. Okay. Little 30-second delay, but maybe that will fix itself in a bit. All right. 𝗕𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗧 says, caught you live. My toddler woke me up early today. I'm not trying to hear all of that. Do you figure your toddler problems out on your own, buddy? I'm joking. Today, interesting day. Why did I get so mean all of a sudden? I don't know. Sometimes I get darkness takes over, huh? No, I'm just joking. Today, really interesting day for the crypto market. Obviously, as y'all have seen throughout the past, let's call it day, the crypto market recovered pretty nicely. And again, if you're unsure about what I'm referring to, we are still, let's quickly refresh this to make sure we are still on the right page. We are still at around an $86,000 BTC, right? Almost $2,800. Oh, there we go. Above $2,800 for 𝗕𝗓 and about $2.09 per XRP. XRP actually being one of the best coins out there in terms of performance throughout the past day. But there's an interesting caveat. Now, again, I made a video yesterday. I made multiple. First of all, talking about the idea that all of the main factors that are pushing us down don't necessarily deserve to be one of them. Like, we were talking about the Fed cutting the interest rates, or at least not cutting them anymore. Well, that's been, I guess, evaporated, as right now the consensus is that they're actually going to be cutting rates by December. Let me quickly open that up for you. I have, unfortunately, got about 200 tabs open, and so piece by piece, my computer is starting to give up, right? It's piece by piece starting to just be like, nope, you're doing too much. It can handle about, I'm going to say 100 tabs. Once you get to the 200 mark, it just starts not liking it anymore. Regardless, so let's quickly look at it here. All right, so we got Fed Governor Christopher Waller saying he is an advocate for cutting the interest rates in December. Now, if you're wondering, is this actually being, I guess, appreciated in the numbers as well? Yes, it is. Right now, if we refresh this, it's gone from 40-something, 47, 49, to 73 to 71, right now to 77.7. And so I'm personally putting up a guess that this has a very high probability of being one of the main factors of the crypto market here being pushed up, a lot of stocks being pushed up, and, well, most importantly, continuing to be pushed up. Because, like I said before, it does make a lot of sense for me, or at least to most of us, for the market to mostly be pushed by factors like these. Anyway, guys, before I move on, we started the stream just about 2 minutes ago. We have 130 people watching, which is pretty nice. Make sure you press that like button whenever you join the stream. It doesn't cost you anything. All it does is hopefully show the stream to more people, even that it may not do. But, if you want to be helpful, make sure you press that like button, because why not? You've got nothing to lose. And let's continue on with the story. So yesterday, I warned every single one of you that today could be a very big bloodbathy day. Now, mind you, the U.S., I guess the New York session is starting in about 40 minutes from now. We'll probably be able to watch it open and see how the market reacts to it. Because thus far, in pre-trading, things were quite nice. All right, so for example, we have a couple of additional things that were interesting. Here, breaking news. Alphabet stock, Google, surges over plus 5% in pre-market trading as AI stocks extend their two-day gains. This makes Alphabet now a $3.8 trillion company, just 6% away from being larger than Apple. And where's the kicker here? Well, that we are now seeing about 2 days of positivity in the crypto market. We are also, interestingly enough, seeing 2 days of massive surges in major tech stocks, or I guess major AI-related stocks. I don't want to be that guy to say it, but every single day the S&P and NASDAQ went down crazy numbers. For some reason, the crypto market saw similar numbers. And so if you're saying right now that crypto is moving on its own because of any factor, even the Fed, just realize that the Fed has even more impact on stocks than it has on crypto, and it should have. So thus far, it could just be we're on a little bit of a lucky streak. And why am I showing this picture here? Because, well, remember that weekdays actually tend to be really, really bad for crypto, and weekends seem to be quite okay for the crypto market. Meaning right now, it's Monday, which is usually kind of neutral, but tomorrow is usually when things kind of hit the fan. And even though I'm not saying it's going to be this way again today or tomorrow, I just want you to understand that we did expect, hey, Sunday to be a good day. It was. Now, coincidentally, it was also, at least thus far in pre-trading, pretty good for these AI and tech stocks. If it ends up taking a slashing later today or tomorrow, you understand that we're just following the quote-unquote stereotype then, right? And the thing is also, and this is another very, very crucial part for y'all to understand. Oh, I don't like to say it. No, you know what? I will not say anything. I don't want to say it. No, okay, let me skip it out. I was going to say, crypto has a lot of factors that have been pushing it down. Like, for example, the whole MicroStrategy news and all this fear about it. You know, a lot of that has not really faltered. It's not really gone away. If we're only attributing this dump to the Fed, that's pretty interesting. Then again, regardless of all that, I am still buying these dips. I made a whole video yesterday detailing where I think the price is kind of like, quote unquote, cheap and where it's kind of like oversold. But mind you, that just because we saw a massive red candle this week that did not close below the 100 weekly moving average, right, which is basically where I started to get a bit fearful, we did dip into oversold / cheap territory for some very nice buys. And the question now is, will we sustain, go sideways from here, get this moving average to slowly but surely move up, and all of a sudden, right, throughout this little 100-day period, we actually get to relatively more expensive prices? Could be. I mean, if you want to understand what this little chart is, what it showcases is extensions of the moving average. In this case here, a 50% extension, a 100% extension, 150, 200, and 250% extension. These are levels of pricing out where Bitcoin, for example, could or should be at. Not everybody agrees with this, but many claim that this is another factor or another way to showcase being overbought or oversold. With, again, in the past here, if we just compare the prices from the past couple of weeks to where we would consider the market to be overbought, it was basically in this $110,000 plus range. Now, again, this number was slightly lower before because you got to understand, this line is slowly but surely moving upwards, right? So if we're talking about back in July of 2025, the moving average was sitting at around 50,000, whereas right now it's sitting at about 10% higher, 55,000. So, of course, that also makes a difference for these extensions. But regardless, these were all considered to be pretty high prices, and right now it turns out that that was pretty accurate. This is, again, following back all the way. You can always do the same calculations, just extensions of the moving average. In this case here, what we're trading at right now is neutral. We're indecisive. We're not the biggest fans of buying nor selling. And yesterday in my video, I described where, potentially based on the cross of the 100 moving average, it could, again, be a pretty interesting idea to buy. Or perhaps, if you don't like moving averages at all, just look at major supports or major resistances, with the most interesting one coming up at $78,000 a BTC, and the second most interesting one coming out at around 72,000, let's call it, per BTC. Those are, again, two levels interesting to take a look at for potential purchases. But mind you, that still, regardless of all that, we are so freaking cheap to trade below the 100 moving average because looking back at it, it almost never happens. And when it happens, this is basically peak bear market. Because you see, it started to go below the 100 moving average here in May of 2022, and it only started to go above it the moment we started a massive surge. Right now, we just dipped below it, but that also really does not tend to happen, right? The other last time that we broke above it was here in April of 2020, which was, again, 1 month after the peak of the bear market, and we just started a massive surge. And so this time around, we did not close below it, but if we did, it could basically, depending on how fast we came out of it, signal the other next leg up, let's call it. But in this case here, I think it's quite interesting to note that that as it currently stands, yeah, we just dipped below it briefly, rose right back up to the freaking depths of the depths. It was pretty freaking, rose back up to the highs of the highs. It was pretty cool to watch. And, well, I'm pretty excited for it. It feels like all these moves right now are making me less and less fearful that this is going to be sustained. By the way, again, I'll remind y'all, if you're watching this live right now, make sure you go ahead and press the like button on the stream. It's live, right? I can see every single one of you guys in this chat box. I did not take a look because I wanted to quickly talk about the story. Hello, Dusty from 30 seconds in the past. No shouting today, Dusty. My old ears can't handle it, young man. All right, brother. I'll think about that. I'll try my best. Let's see. Where are you guys all watching from today? I see somebody's excited about Monad. Salty Tears, like the name, says, oh, you guys can't see it. Wait, let me take this out. Let me put just the chat box in. The Real Trinity says, how are you doing? I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? Let me quickly pop this chat out. Pop out chat. There we go. Give it a second. There we go. Bod says, smashed it from the UK. All right. We got Ireland. Oh, you guys can't see. We got Bobby again. What's up, Bobby? Sorry, I'm late again. It's okay, Bobby. No worries. Thank you so much for stopping by and saying hi. We got Chicagoland, Orlando, Florida, LA, Northeast Ohio. I didn't know that was a thing. Northeast Ohio. I've never seen that combination of words, my friend. You're the first one to ever say that. Thanks, Dusty. Hello from Malta. I like Malta. That was nice. PA, no idea what that's supposed to be. Pennsylvania, maybe? Yeah, I guess so. Going to make money for some crypto. All right. Netherlands, Chicago. Hey, bro. Hey, what's up? Maryland, Australia, Toronto, Canada. Doing great. Clean my bathroom at the moment. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know about that. You're cleaning your bathroom and listening to a crypto stream at the same time. Some of you guys have interesting priorities and interesting ways of living life, huh? You got Monad? Of course I've got Monad, but I didn't actually fully commit. Because to be honest, I am not the biggest fan of Monad in the way they do their shenanigans. But that's a discussion for a different day. Let's quickly see here. Because there was something I wanted to show about Monad, but where did I save it? This is the problem when you have hundreds upon hundreds of tabs open. You have to scroll through. Well. Oh, wait, this is actually an interesting little note. Apparently, Strategy, which is MicroStrategy, the main company buying Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin-backed credit weekly volume hits a new all-time high. Wall Street is embracing crypto. Well, I wanted to say with this, you know that one of the reasons why the crypto market most likely pushed down with extended losses was because people are afraid that MicroStrategy would get liquidated based on, like, I guess 75K breaking, their average price being now above the current price, and then eventually it breaking because of the leverage. But let's just say that they were also afraid of MicroStrategy being considered a fund over a company. Now, MicroStrategy, of course, refuted this, saying, no, we are definitely a company. We have all these products, etc. And people said no because nobody's using them, and their software business is only 500 mil in comparison to a 50 or 70 billion dollar. I'm not sure exactly how much, or maybe how much they're holding, 50 whatever billion holdings. So it's kind of like they're basically a holding company. But regardless, we're seeing now that it is actually increasing in terms of usage and, well, their Bitcoin products that they claimed. And again, the reason these Bitcoin products are quite important or interesting is because relatively, right, the more their products are being used, the more likely it is for them to be considered as a company instead of a fund, which again, the decision will get for, I believe, the 10th of January, 2026, something along those lines, somewhere there. We're going to get that. I have a few more pieces. Let's quickly cover them piece by piece. Bitcoin has closed its fourth straight weekly candle. The last time this happened was mid-2024. The last time Bitcoin saw a streak of more than 4 red weekly candles was during the 2022 bear market with 9 straight weeks of red. And I again would like to consider that unless we break below the previous bottom, I say we're still in the clear. At least that's my thoughts on the matter. But yeah. Anyway, let's continue on with some news, huh? The U.S. has officially added $2.1 trillion worth of debt since the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, was formed on January 20th. That's $6.5 billion per day for 326 days in a row. Apparently, also, Bitcoin can never go to zero because some people have orders at 0.01, 0.02. I read from that. Treasury Secretary 𝗵𝗫 says the entire economy is not at risk of a recession. Michael Saylor says, I won't back down. Oh, my days. Things are interesting, huh? President Trump says the U.S. will be the world capital of crypto. Yeah, he says that all the time. You guys were not too excited about it. However, let's quickly see what else in terms of news we've got coming up. So I believe tomorrow we've got some interesting numbers. Let's quickly refresh this and see. So we're going to go for a second on the importance. We're going to go only for U.S. There we go. We have that already. So tomorrow we've got ourselves PPI, which I guess could be quite interesting coming up. I always have to think if this is like tomorrow. It depends on the time zone that I'm in, but this is tomorrow, so yeah, we're good on that. We've got PPI coming out. We've got retail sales. I don't care about that too much as a percentage. Let's see durable goods orders. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you see, these things are making me sick. All these prices, ugh, disgusting. Manufacturing PMI, ISM services, none of that, which is going to definitely do anything crazy for us, except for, I guess, starting December again, December 9, December 10, with most importantly, December 10th, getting ourselves the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. Yeah, this is going to be the most important event. Tomorrow, PPI, some people are really hesitant about and interested in, but to me, not the biggest of numbers. However, it does move the market every now and then. So I'm going to tell you now, this could be something that's going to slash us again in the face. However, I would like to argue that roughly 30 minutes from now is going to be way more important as the stock market opens up. So if you're wondering, hey, which moment should we be watching out for? 30 minutes, my friend. 30 minutes. And 𝗕𝗓𝗀 says it's now 9:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. ETF day. I got a question for y'all. Which ETFs are you so excited about then that you're commenting on? Rod says, if we break below 75, old Sailor is going to have to sell. Well, not necessarily. I mean, depending on exactly what the conditions are, just because the price is below his average price, why would he have to sell? Just because of a paper loss? Really? Okay, guys. This is always different when I ask on YouTube versus Twitter, but I'll ask it here again today as well. If you could name a few people that you'd like to have on a stream for like maybe 15, 20, or 30 minutes, who would you go for? Felix says, it's hilarious. All these influencers are bearish now. I'm not sure if you're talking about me. I'm not bearish. Maybe somebody else. Number one in queue, Grayscale. Ticker GXRP. Expected launch 0 days, 0 hours, 27 minutes, and 30 seconds. Okay. Noobs check NASDAQ 100 futures. You'll see where U.S. markets will go today. Charles Hoskinson or Brad? So Brad, I already attempted plenty of times, but for some reason, Ripple and everything XRP related, I told y'all, right? I like XRP, but everybody at Ripple, except for David Schwartz, I think he's actually been kind of cool and he follows me on Twitter. Every other one of them has never really been receptive of any single thing. Also, I get invited to almost every single crypto event in the world just to cover it or whatever. The only one, out of most of the ones that I would want to go to, the only one that's never replied to any of my mails or anything is everything XRP or Ripple related. So, on the one hand, you can see that it's good. You know, they don't give a crap about us as influencers, you might want to call it. But on the opposite side, they're not my best friends at all. So, Brad or whatnot, it's very, very hard. Charles Hoskinson, I could probably get done. Would it be easy? No. But I do believe, Charles, I'm going to write them down today. You know what? I'm going to write them, should I do phone or actual physical? Let me write it down on the phone. Okay, so the requests thus far, Charles Hoskinson. He's not the first one to get on because I don't think he'll join. But if I do a few, I think it's going to be easier to get him. Okay. What else do you guys really, really want to see? I see here XRP Millionaire. Is that a... I don't know exactly what I can learn from somebody called XRP Millionaire. But hey, you know, if that's what you guys want, I can get it done. I'll try my best. Yeah, this does not exist. Maybe... Not exactly sure what you're talking about or who. Anyway, why always a burger? Why not like a taco or donair? GI says, NASDAQ 100 futures are up more than 200 points. Easy math. So the reason I'm going to counter you is by saying, you know, just a few days ago, you understand that pre-market trading for NVIDIA was actually ridiculous, and we ended up being red throughout the day. Just because it looks good at the start don't mean you're going to end up being good. Well, you know what I'm seeing just now? How XRP gets to $100,000.
XRP to $100,000?
I want to see it. You know, they caught me. They got my eye.
Here's how. There are experts out there that are predicting the price to go up to $100,000 at least for XRP. How is this going to happen? Well, they believe that the idea is that massive entities start tokenizing assets on the XRP ledger and essentially holding value on the XRP ledger. This will limit the supply of XRP that is available to use for on-demand liquidity. When you've got a smaller supply of tokens to use for the on-demand liquidity and a higher amount of transactions to use those small tokens with, the price of an XRP has to skyrocket. Let me know what you think in the comments and follow this account for more. XRP to...
I'm not going to comment on that. All right, whatever. Regardless, so, yeah, to get back, let's quickly see here. What else do we have? Man, I opened so many. Oh, yeah, yesterday. So, if you guys did not know, I made a video talking about the crypto market in a pretty excited manner yesterday, right? But I do also... You know, I'm still kind of realistic. about the situation. And so I realized just yesterday, I was kind of like this guy. We're going down tremendously over many a months, right? Many a weeks. And we get the slightest bit of optimism, and I'm just going absolutely berserk. Hey, there we go. Yeah, let's freaking go. I'm trying not to scream, by the way, for you, my brother. All right? I remember you at the start of the stream saying, please don't scream today. I'm trying my best. I wanted to, but I stopped myself. Anyway, this is me right now. Not as excited because I can't scream. I mean, I guess I can if I just... But at least then you wouldn't hear it. So, I've done my thing. You know, at least I also respected your wishes. Having said that, let's quickly see what else do we have. Oh yeah, we talked about this being the bottom, huh? And Q5 is going to be the next, the next big quarter. Luckily, there's no Q5. You know, at the end of the day, this is. Why am I acting like I see this all for the first time? I opened this all up. This is the video we talked about the bottom at. Us buying that dip of the dip of the dip and being excited for it. In reality, though, I'm going to be honest with you. You know that 99 out of 100 times, it's not even fun to buy the dip. I'm acting in this video like, I'm holding the line, we're buying, we're doing that. In reality, every single time, I have to reach into my pocket. I only have an outside pocket. Reach into my pocket. And, you know what can I, let me think of this. Let me cook here real quick. Why did I do that? Okay, here we go. You're going to have to settle for a little bit less, but it's okay. Every time I reach into my pocket and grab money, yes, this is just $1, but it will have to do. I had only about $4 in my possession. Mark has not been too good. Anytime I go into my pocket and grab some freaking money, right, which I do quite often. You know me, right? Mr. Money. There we go. Anytime I do that and use it to buy the freaking dip, it does hurt a little bit. Why? Well, because like the majority of the proper traders would say, if buying the dip doesn't really feel kind of like awkward or hurtful, you're probably buying way too freaking high. And nobody wants to catch a falling knife. And what we're talking about there is you buying when in reality the market looks just so absolutely ass. And that's essentially what you're going to have to do to get yourself a really good price. But you understand that the trend is your friend, meaning whatever's happening, we expect that to continue on. So, lag. So if the market's going to... Why is things lagging? I guess, again, the 200 tabs are catching up with me, huh? Let me try closing a few. If I just close about 50 tabs, maybe this should fix itself. Let me try closing a few of these things. There we go. There you go. Let me try my best. All right, this should be okay then. Now, yeah, if you're buying the dip of the dip of the dip, I actually have a funny video about that. Oh, my Instagram got blocked, by the way. The Instagram I use to show you guys things on here. Let me go to my main Instagram. I have a funny video. It's only a few seconds. And by the way, guys, if you're not following me on Instagram yet, you may want to do so. You're going to get absolutely nothing out of it except for sometimes a funny video here and there. And of course, I have to log in, but my account that I always used to watch things is blocked. Let me just open the link. It should be okay then, right? I have 2 videos I just posted on here. Oh, one of them is golden and one of them is mediocrely funny. However, let me quickly pull up here. What the fuck? It's that. What the fuck? Yes, I'm not that creative, but you know, I don't need to be. Here's another one. This, I shall put up a quick little warning. This may be offensive to some of y'all, but if you can't handle it, you don't deserve my attention because I thought it was kind of funny, and I hope that you guys find it funny too. That's okay. Let's wait a little second. Okay, here we go. Is 1 million Pepe enough to have? Well, my friend, I've just done the calculations. And 1 million Pepe would be right around $12. So what you should get is a mother job, Nick. Well, oh, I forgot about that part. Anyway, so continue on with the rest of the story. Yep. Let's find out. Last time quantitative tightening ended, altcoins apparently had a massive surge. Altcoins apparently exploded. Now, Fed monetary policy will be key. We're going to get ourselves that decision in, 2 weeks-ish? About 2 weeks and 3 days? Things are maybe perhaps for the better here. I mean, we've still got about 18 minutes to go before we get ourselves that massive dopamine spike from the markets opening up. I'm going to be excited for that. By the way, every 15-minute reminder, if you've not pressed that like button yet, right now is your best time to do so. You'll get absolutely nothing out of it, like zero things. But, at least you'll put a little bit of a smile on my face. Not too much, but like ever so slightly, a little bit of a smile. And so, I'm gonna recommend you to press that button right now. 250 people watching. We should instantly be able to get to about 100 likes, right? At least. We've had about 850 people watching in total. There we go, boys. There we go. That's what we like to see. And again, I'm doing a stream every single day for the foreseeable future. Now, there's going to be one day where I'm flying very shortly, but I think it's going to be a day trip. So I think literally one day is going to be kind of awkward to stream, but that's just one day out of the next entire month, right? Because I'm told you now, from now to Christmas, I'll be streaming every single day. There's only one that I may potentially skip because of an awkward flight. But even then, you know what? Boys, I may wake up really god unholy early. Oh, unholy hours. For some of you guys, those are normal hours. I don't know how you do that. And stream still. But we'll see about that. Anyway, right now, if you're wondering what are we waiting for, we are actually, for the most part, waiting for the markets to open. And this is not, of course, the crypto market. That one is always open. And again, I want to reiterate my earlier thoughts. So I showed this to my analyst. He spit in my face, by the way. That was kind of like a funny situation. He actually literally just decided to spit in my face. So what this was me talking about the idea that XRP relative price is pretty freaking good right now. Because if you consider that XRP basically previously went to these levels and had the craziest of boosts from it, right? Remember, XRP went from 50, 40 cents, whatever, all the way towards $3.40 in almost one surge. There was a slight little cool down period, but almost one surge. Then massive decline, all the way back to about $1.50. So $2 down almost from the top, more than halved. If you had bought that dip like a freaking religious man, you set the light. Oh, sorry, I can't scream. All right. If you'd bought that, I'll say more in an ASMR way. If you were buying that dip right there, you're putting your hands together, you're scratching and praying for the markets to go up. On the short term, you may have not loved your life because, well, as you can see right here, even if you bought the previous dip, it would have still gone down a few more percent, like 9% or something like that. But pretty quickly afterwards, it would have resulted in massive gains for XRP. So that would have also been really amazing for your portfolio. Nah, boys, that ain't me. I can't do that. Sorry, guys. It's gonna be well. Anyway, so if you'd bought that dip at the start, would have definitely not been the nicest thing. But throughout time, you can see here, it took about 104 days, something like that. You would have loved your life. And here comes again the kicker. Right now, again, similar situation. We went down 62%. That, of course, is a major epidemical situation that I don't want to talk about anymore, right? The 10th of the 10th, 60% down in a day, in an hour, actually, fun fact. But over this period of time, I'm going to say about the last 4 months or so, we did actually make a similar sort of decline. What is stopping us from making a similar sort of incline here again? I'd be okay with waiting a little bit of time for this. Obviously, this also, back then, a lot of people were considering like, oh, no, actually, you have this little inverse head and shoulder that's forming up here. We're going to go down to 0. But we ended up not doing that. Right now, theoretically speaking, this is actually in the BTC chart, if we can find that again. I don't have that open anymore. Yeah, here we go. Theoretically, in BTC right now, you could also argue that a little head and shoulder could be forming up here very, very shortly. Well, again, you have your first shoulder, another head, potentially another shoulder here, and then us going down to 0. You guys can't see my fully drawing, but you get it. I just think, man, people are overanalyzing these things. Bitcoin, crypto, people are buying it partially as a hedge against inflation, but mostly because it just makes sense when all these freaking major players, Trump, Larry Fink, most of the banks nowadays are all promoting the crap out of it. You don't want to go against the system that's making the actual choices, making the actual money decisions. And right now, since we don't have the Fed anymore with I guess, pressure, could again be something quite nice. At least, you know, the closer we get towards this decision, the more excited I get for the market to continue the incline, the upwards curve. However, coins, I can't say we're doing too good on this account. We're still down about $190,000 here. On the bots, I don't want to open my buyback, guys, because it's going to scare some people. So I'm not doing that today. Maybe soon, though. If the market turns back around, I'm going to show you what my main buyback account, or at least I'll show you the one that I usually showcase. So again, if you don't know on Bybit, you can make sub accounts, and there's one specifically I have on the YouTube channel because we open all the trades together. But my main one, it's an interesting little endeavor. All right. First of all, I'm down tremendous amounts of money, but I'm basically down tremendous amounts of money everywhere. And the fun thing is, I don't really mind because I think it will turn back around in due course. Here's, for example, the bots. We're down a lot less than yesterday. Like yesterday, this looked terrible. 2 days ago. Now it's actually not that bad. Let's see here. Coinbot stack. Yeah, I've been buying a ton of Ethereum forcibly to keep up with the extra margin. I mean, it's not that bad. It's 20 Ethereum, I guess, that I had to buy, so 60K to fund my little endeavor here. And this is a coin margin bot. The reason that is awful is because, obviously, if the market does well, I'm earning ETH. But if the market goes down, I'm losing ETH. And you can see maybe from watching this, one of my BTC bots got wrecked a while back. It's just because I was careless. And many of my bots have gotten wrecked because I've been careless. But I learned, I conquered, and from now on, things are never going to be this way again. All you have to remember is most of the trading strategies that people talk about can actually work quite nicely if you've got the discipline and you're not being overly cocky. Let's say, for example, your strategy is to, you know, basically buy your way down and sell. Oh, let me show you. I'm not selling you. Is to buy your way down, and in this case here, in a coin margin fashion. You know that this can almost always work as long as it does not go to zero. As long as, and here's the very, very key part, as long as you're not being overly cocky and doing it with too much. In this case, you're a 5x long, a 10x long, it's all okay. As long as the actual investment that is not too crazy. Because remember, if you put the bottom of the price range, like me right now, at 32.50 because you're getting cocky that the market won't move up down that much. The nice thing is, you know, this is again for all the people using bots. The nice thing is, if it goes to 3,500 and up, you got yourself very, very close towards the bottom. It bought mostly fully the 8 times 5. The negative thing is, if it goes down way below, it's now 8 times 5, so 40 ETH worth of a long. It's not actually making any new benefit off of the lows, but if it continues on down, you know, potentially you might get wrecked. But more importantly, if I put this lower price range at 0, I could have actually done a lot more money in it because the probability of whatever money I put in times 5ing, well, that would only happen at basically price 0. It could have actually been better off while also taking or making use of the lower prices right here. So I realized that mistake of, well, not having your price range be wide enough. I would never do that again, unless you're, again, trying to make a bull run type of a portfolio, which we did before. But again, because we all of a sudden saw a mass liquidation event in one day, those got wrecked. But then again, remember that just because one day here, a lot of them got wrecked because we got overly cocky, it would have actually worked nicely for more than 2.5, 3, probably, maybe even 5 years. Because again, the liquidation event we saw this day was worse than what I've ever seen, and never in the history of me being a crypto would that have ever happened to me. It's only that day. And sure, there's some moves that are terrible, but going down 99.9% of some altcoins that are large, like Atom, no, that I've never seen. That's why I keep saying this was a coordinated effort to wreck us all. Anyway, I'll eat first. 10 more minutes to market open. Yeah, so anyway, I was going to say, you know, one more note is if you really break it down, the loss is for the most part temporary because you learn things along the way, right? And so especially when it comes to this trading endeavor, when it comes to crypto trading, let's call it even more specifically, the majority of the money can be made in a very, very short amount of time. You can lose money all throughout. Even in a crazy bull market, people do lose money. But the idea is to make way more when the market is good. Is Dusty Crypto your real name? My last name indeed is Crypto. Look at that, huh? I changed it. Birth name. No, I didn't change it. Birth name. I was born like that. Dusty Crypto. And I was coded for this. Angel says, so you think it's better to buy right now since the mark is low with those bots? So anyway, you got to understand also, if we're talking about any one of these bots, if you're getting yourself at a discount relative to where I'm buying at, Well, I'm keeping them open because I do believe they will turn back around. We just got to give it some time. Specifically like an XRP bot right here. I opened this when the market was really terribly down, but that was actually $2.16 in XRP back then, after that day, the 10th of the 10th. You can see, even though I only put in $50,000, it still cashed me out $8K throughout this period. Sure, we're down now, but I could have closed this, a while back for still maybe $6,000 worth of profit on that run. And also, mind you, that this will most likely turn itself back around as well, because if XRP goes back above $2.16 for just 40 days, it generated me a maybe 17 at that point % yield. Annualized, it will be 133%. That is very, very hard to beat. And again, where did I make mistakes? By going a bit too crazy, opening too many because I wanted to keep sharing it in the videos. Because now, look at this. If you go to the main bot stack, ETH and BTC, they're still holding out just fine. They're still holding very, very comfortably. Why? Because the range was wide enough and I was not being a dumbass. Sure, this has been going on for 200 days, but still, a 60% yearly return on my BTC. Definitely not too bad. Sure, I opened it at 94,000 a Bitcoin, and at the highs, at 120 something, people said, oh, but you got so lucky by opening it early. Right now, we are $10,000 below that. So, theoretically speaking, I could open again more bots right now and be in a very, very favorable position. Same for ETH. 2,900 looked so good back then, which is why we're up 40% in just 135 days, right? 100% a year. But when you look at the price right now, it's even lower. You're getting yourself a better deal than I got myself. And yes, I still believe in them. The only problem is I would do it less quickly for many of those altcoins because, again, the market is just is less trusted now. Then again, you can make a lot of money that way still. Sasha says, do you think XRP can go back to the 180 zone? Yes, I do believe so. It could do. Why? Remember that just because we skipped the oversold zone, we didn't stay in there. It's been 4 red candles in a row, with the record being 8 red candles in a row in 8 or 9. Depending on what happens in about 7 minutes, if the market opens and we see a massive decline instantly, there's a pretty good chance we're going to see the Bitcoin and all these things drop down again. However, in pre-trading, things were looking good for things like Apple right now, which put us in a good spot. However, mind you that NVIDIA had the same sort of thing on their earnings a few days ago and then turned into a freaking bloodbath throughout the day. That was like one of those bad days as well, where Bitcoin hit 80.5 maybe, or maybe the night before that. So it's not necessarily one-to-one. Meaning, even if the stock market opens green, doesn't mean it will end in the green. But very often, when we start in the red, we'll see Bitcoin also go red pretty quickly. That's again in 6 minutes. Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? But thus far, things are looking quite good. Not gonna lie. Nasdaq looking pretty juicy. S&P looking pretty juicy. Everything looking pretty nice. But again, you don't know how it's gonna look today. Just because it ended good yesterday, don't mean it's gonna start good today. Don't mean it's gonna end good today. Sometimes I love the crypto market, man. There's no 2 days that are the same. Almost never do you get 2 days in a row of just calmness. And I described before how if the market surges up again like crazy, we'll again have these times where every single day it's stress, every single day it's just I gotta be honest with you, even when the market's not going up, not going down, just kind of doing sideways nothingness, it still stresses the crap out of me, man. I still have to look every single day because right now we're pretty close to a bottom and it's kind of scary. Last time we were pretty close to a top potentially and it was kind of scary. That means every single price action is kind of scary nowadays. Oh, yeah, Martini guy with his funniest post. I'm going to delete that though. I've talked about it twice now. It's okay. It's enough. Anyway, so where would I buy again? Where would I start buying again? Well, if XRP goes back to like that 180, and I told you this whole range here is where I'm pretty comfy buying it at. And I can extrapolate it to saying roughly like realistically, everything below, I'm going to say about $1.99, so $2, I'm pretty comfy buying at. But if you remember my videos from like half a year ago, I always said the $2 range is the first area of buying. The $1 AT range is the second area of buying. And so it kind of moved on, with lower and lower prices. I'm going to still stick with that. If you're buying below $2, I think relatively, you're getting yourself a pretty good deal. But if you're buying below $1 AT, you're getting yourself a steal. It didn't actually go there. It went to 188.81. But I'm just basing that also on the previous price. That if you're buying basically this dip right here, a lot of people counted this as a major blessing, right? To break through all of this, like we saw on that day, takes some pretty severe negative, let's call it negative energy in this case here, without putting a currency on it. Right? It takes some very, very negative impulse to get below all these previous supports because, well, if we break through that, where's the next little line of defense going to be? These small little tops all the way back then, this is like $1 in XRP. Or are we going to go back all the way towards tops from 2021? Well, I think that since that's been such a long time ago, and it's not really relevant for the current state of the market and whatnot, I'm not sure if the 2021 tops and prices is going to hold us up too nicely because of all the price action that happened in between. It could be, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to. And so, by that logic, I'm not too big a fan of trying to catch the falling knife the moment that let's call it as a baseline, $1.60 is broken. Because it feels to me like if $1.60 is broken, we're already trading below the most crucial moving averages anyway. It's going to be a pretty interesting fall towards no man's land, like $1.50 because of like psychological barriers, $1 because of psychological, 50 cents because of psychological. But in reality, I think let's say 70 cents is really where the major lower bound is at then. And for Bitcoin, it's a bit easier to see that this is really just bottoming territory. And if we don't bottom out here, we've still got ourselves the moving average. If we don't bottom out the moving average, we still got ourselves the previous bottom here, March 31st, 2025, at around 78,000. Then in the middle somewhere there, we have MicroStrategy's bottom, which again, they may defend. And then slightly below that, again, we have 71,000. So, that range. And then at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, we have the moving average at $56,000 or so. And if that breaks, we're basically going to zero for a while. But with Bitcoin, there's a lot more price action. It looks like recently because of the gradual grind upwards. Whereas with XRP, it was 21 peak down tremendously for a long time. Whereas with Bitcoin, it feels like a gradual incline, with indeed a little bit of a cup in the midst. But it looks less weird. ETFs in 2 minutes. Yeah, so where are you guys watching ETFs then? I never really watched ETF volume. I never really watched Grayscale XRP ETF. Let me see if I can find that out. Let's see here. 0.0% management fee. I don't believe none of that. Okay, so let's see. I can press invest now, but where do we find? Not 1,000% sure where you guys find all that, but whatever. Also, here we go. Whoa. I don't really exactly remember what we were talking about with the S&P. I have no idea what we're doing right here. But I guess this is previously all the way back in April 2024, perhaps. And this is, again, a fun fact, right? You always talk about these prices in the current sense, but you got to remember that whatever price you're talking about is probably low when you look back or look at it a few months after, a few years afterwards. Oh. So things are looking pretty good right here. Oh. Okay. One second chart. Here we go, huh? Okay, that's useless. Okay. Green. Very green at that, even. Wow. Okay. This is looking very good. can you guys see how fast things are moving right now? Okay, this is looking very, very juicy. I wonder how Google is doing as well. Let's take a look. How has that been recently? Okay, so that was interesting. It had a really negative start, huh? And now also, I guess maybe perhaps because of S&P opening it up, looking good. Man, this is looking way good. In the grand scheme of things, but in comparison to where we ended up, this is nice. How is Bitcoin reacting on the minute? Let's see. We're opening a third one. Opening BTC on the 1 minute. I'm going to say, yeah, I mean, it's literally following the S&P, but for BTC, it's not been that crazy of a factor yet. You guys can't see. Let's see. Here we go. Huh. Don't you think that gap is worrying? Not necessarily, no. You think the gap is going to get filled again? Probably. But, I mean, just because we open in the green and with a gap, you can see a gap kind of always forms. Then again, I'm just saying the start of the day was already green. I kind of expected it, real talk, to be really red. But just because the start of the day is green, don't mean you're going to end up in the green. You can see this gap got filled pretty quickly afterwards. Let's see if it keeps going through. Here, it gapped downwards and continued downwards. I don't know if there's any easy one trend to describe there. Perhaps it is the exact inverse. Or if you open with a downwards gap, indeed, you just tend to rise. If you open with a downwards gap, you tend to rise. If you open, let's see here real quick, with a downwards gap, you go down. Upwards gap, you go down. Downwards gap, you go down. Upwards gap, you go sideways. Downwards gap, you go down. Downwards gap, you go sideways down bias. I can't necessarily state that the gap worries me at all, no. Not really. I don't know if there's any one line you can draw from that. Sasha says, I'm sweating right now. Why? Why are you you mean in case a decline comes in at Google or something like that, and all of a sudden the markets just kick the bucket too? Oh. Microphone is muted. I wanted to say we're in the green. At least it's a good start of the day. XRP moving up quite nicely here. BTC is actually not doing as much of the work, but if we go to the 1 minute chart for XRP here, Yeah, you can see, right? That instant, look at the price action just throughout these few minutes, 1.6%. Now, this to some may be nothing, but specifically if you're trading with significant sums of money, 1% can be a very, very interesting move. And because we're getting to the upper echelon again. Like right now, XRP just, again, touched above $2.10. We're getting back into juicy territory, guys. See, this is what I like to see. Again, we're not in the clear, but this is what I basically was warning for, some volatility based on the open, which now came, specifically after the weekend, of course. And we expect this to be kind of neutral at the end of the day or negative because of the bias we had based on the fact that usually Monday is quite negative. Thus far, not confirming our stereotype. Bitcoin actually confirming the stereotype now, though. S&P showing like 1 minute of decline, and Bitcoin, or 2 minutes of decline, Bitcoin decided to kick the bucket. And here, the only, I think, thing that it proves is just because you start green don't mean you have to end that way. Just another pinpointer, but yeah, I mean, it's still pretty early, right? We've still got some nice time. Anyway, lads, we've been streaming for about an hour. I think the majority of the important news I wanted to cover, I've covered right now. I'll for sure be back again with more videos today, talking about whatever's going on in the crypto market. So, you know, stick around and find out is what I'm going to say. But more importantly, and this is very, very crucial, if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'll be streaming every single day. And later today, I'll probably get another video out there with my analyst or potentially another possibility, a video out there. I'm going to see what we can do. Otherwise, for sure, if you're looking for price action, you want to talk about the price, you're interested in where exactly the price is going to go, for sure, tomorrow we'll have him on again talking about where he thinks the price is going next. And again, he's one of the best in the freaking game, so turn around for that. Ooh, market actually dropping a little bit right now, as I can see. Oof, 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 oof. It's all okay, though. It's all part of the plan. You can see how in unison they're moving, though, huh, guys? You can see. This is exactly what was expected. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be back here. And if something crazy happens, I, of course, will be back with yet another crypto stream as well. So do not fret. We'll be back. Or like the Terminator should say, I'll be back. I don't know. Yeah. All right, boys. See you guys another one. And if you're not doing it yet, make sure you follow me over on Instagram because, as you saw, I post quite funny videos, huh? Maybe not yet too many, but cool ones shall be coming soon enough. So...
Is 1 million 𝗵𝗵 enough to have? Well, my friend, I've just done the calculations. And 1 million 𝗵𝗵 would be right around $12. So what you should get is a mother job, Nick.
Anyway, if you like these type of things or more normal ones, follow me over on Instagram. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'll see you guys again in another one, all right? The DustyBC on there as well. Peace out, champs.